So if you're a Ghostbusters fan and or Spider-Man fan, a lot of great news, but also some troubling news ahead. So let's get to Ghostbusters first, then I will do Spider-Man. Now, Ghostbusters I'm a big fan of. Saw the animated show growing up, saw all the movies. However, I am not big into the video games. With Spider-Man, it's a little different. There I know almost everything about Spider-Man. But let's get to GB first. So the sequel has finally been officially announced live action, but on top of that, there is going to be an animated project. So that's very interesting. I would say, however, despite people thinking Afterlife is the reason they're doing this, no, they actually had this plan for. I know it sounds crazy, but yes, the Ghostbusters answered the call. They were going to do the same thing, have a lot of animated stuff, video games, and comic books, and all this stuff lined up. And some of it did happen. They actually put out the comic book. But yeah, they're gonna do the Ghostbuster verse or the Ghost verse. And if you did pay attention to Afterlife, right at the very beginning, they let you know that yes, this is going to become the foundation for a really, really big universe. They were just waiting to see how well it did. It did spectacularly well. With critics, it was very, very mixed, and I disagreed. I respect some of these people, but I just don't think they know what they're talking about. But they admitted they're not really Ghostbusters fanatics. But I think for the most part, fans loved it with good reason. It, yes, did repeat a lot of the first Ghostbusters, kind of like The Force Awakens, kind of that kind of thing. But so be it. Not a lot with Ghostbusters 2. I was one of the idiots thinking that Oscar was going to show up or Rick Moranis, but there we are. Hopefully, they will appear soon enough. So we have gotten a few details. They're going to do the firehouse. Yes, the iconic firehouse is going to come back. They gave us Ecto. Presumably will be set in New York, or at least a part of the story will be in New York for it to work out, although probably the filming will be in Canada, but they are going to use New York as location. And it does have the right people behind it. Can't say for sure who is going to be in it. Definitely Ernie Hudson, because they set him up like this Nick Fury character. And presumably Dan Aykroyd will definitely do it. But will Bill show up, much less in the Proton Pack? I think that's going to be a little iffy. But yeah, the Ghostverse is coming. The live action, I'm very excited for. The animated, I'm very confident that the good people behind it. I thought this would come later given the recent death of Ivan, but nope, it's great stuff. I'm sure this is in good hands. But now we get to the decidedly more bad stuff or very mixed news with Spider Man. So, on top of Spider Man proper, Venom, and more bias, which, let's be honest, we're all very mixed, even if you like those films. Now we're getting more. We're getting the Spider Woman, or Spider Women, or a different Spider Woman of different generations. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I actually do know the comics pretty well, so I'm like, isn't she supposed to be really, really old? Isn't Dakota really, really not old? I don't know. So, not even sure what thing they're going to reference. What run of Spider Man? Is this going to be the classic continuity? Is this like Ultimate Spider Man? Is Spider Gwen going to show up? Don't know. Don't care. This seems like a good cast. I have nothing against these particular actors, but this really feels really stupid. I do like Spider Woman as a character, but you gotta be honest, there really was not much to the character. Some interesting powers, but really it was just a female version to satisfy a certain part of the market. I read some of the issues, they seemed fine, but nothing special. It's kind of weak foundation. And they also have El Muerto planned too, who's a Hispanic character. Like I say, I do know Spider Man. I have tons and tons of the old comic books from the 80s and 90s. I played several video games, the Sega Genesis, Maximum Carnage, which I probably shouldn't have because Maximum Carnage was not that good, but it was okay. And I know some of the other stuff like the animated shows. I gotta be honest, I'm like, what is the point of all this? Spider Man has met several Hispanic characters, even among them. I'm like, who is this? So this is a really obscure one, even among obscure Spider Man characters. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna have to do some more research on that one. I don't remember him being a significant part of the Spider Man mythos. I mean, I remember the Lobo brothers. Remember the Lobo brothers? So there's a lot of interesting Hispanic characters. Why we're going with this one, I have no clue. Even had this Native American character, Puma, that he had a couple run ins with. But I'm not against absurd characters. I mean, they're going to show up all over the place. In fact, Frogman, who's going to apparently show up in She Hulk, Spider Man had a few run ins with him. So I don't know. Maybe this is a hidden gem, but I'm waiting to see more information. But let's end on a high note and a positive note with Craven. Now, here, I actually am interested. It seems very intriguing. They do have some rock solid people. No disrespect to Dakota, but she's no Russell Crowe. And I know a lot of people have had doubts with Russell Crowe. I was kind of mixed with him in Thor Love and Thunder. I didn't hate him. I didn't love him. I was like, okay, interesting. Russell is the truth. He is a Christian Bale kind of actor. He never gives a bad performance. Even if you don't like the performance, you respect his dedication. He's been in some of my favorite films. I respect him enormously. He has enough money, so I doubt he's doing this for the money. It does seem like they've got a solid cast. I do trust the director and producer and the team behind this. It is being done for money, of course, but I do think with Craven they have, unlike Spider Woman, they do have like so many treasure trove of classical stories with Spider-Man, without Spider-Man. He's a very intriguing character all unto himself. Russian aristocrat who had to flee during the Russian Revolution. He was a very interesting kind of stoic character. Very, very intriguing backstory. His relationship with Calypso, this dark-skinned sorceress who took revenge upon Spider-Man after he died. His murder-suicide is one of the best Spider-Man stories of all time. So they've got enough. And I didn't like the Ultimate version where he's kind of more of a celebrity kind of guy. But again, I'm open to reinterpretations. He's a really great character. Probably still unknown to even a lot of Spider-Man fans, but he's very, very, very interesting character. He's been well done in various media from the animated series to other places. So it's hard to mess this one up. They really have a lot of great stories they could just pull. Not really that many things they have to do to make this a good story, but they've kind of been here before messing up a pretty good Spider-Man story with like Spider-Man 3. I mean, Venom is a pretty simple character to get right, but they still got him wrong somehow. So, again, tentative hopes here that they've got it all figured out. They've got a good cast. There have been worse ideas with Craven too. They were apparently going to do something with Black Panther and make him like African and black and have him in the PantherVerse. I'm not trying to be racist, but I thought like that's not a good idea. I mean, I get it because he's a big game hunter. Yes, he would be in Africa, but yeah, I thought not a good idea. And apparently, there were plans to have him fighting Spider-Man within the main trilogy, but ultimately didn't work out. So because again, he was actually part of the original Sinister Six, but he died. So very interesting things with Craven if you know the lore. But again, early stages, we'll see what happens. But that I think I'm going to be very interested in. So a big thumbs up for the live action sequel coming with Ghostbusters, and a lot of hopes with Craven as well as the. But for the rest of the Spider-Verse, I'm a little unsure what they're going to do. Very skeptical, but I'm open minded. Hopefully, they'll do something amazing. Even if it's not for me, I will try to be fair and recommend it. But a lot of doubts with the emerging Spider-Verse.